Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Healers in Healthcare Show, July, with Dr. Melissa Turner. Before I bring on our incredible guest, I wanted to share some exciting announcements with you. So, if you are joining us, make sure that you grant eCam Live access. So, if you're commenting, if you're letting us know that you're here, if you have questions for me or for Melissa, make sure that you're going to the top of this broadcast, you're clicking eCam Live, and then let them have access so that we can see your name. I also wanted to share a little bit more about the Healers in Healthcare movement, which really started back in May of last year when I got this divine download to write a book with, here's the book, with 19 other healers moving beyond the counter. So all you pharmacists out there, even if you're not a pharmacist, this book is chock full of information. And what came through was that I wanted to write a book to show pharmacists, healers, and healthcare entrepreneurs that yes, it's possible to turn your gifts to gold and to monetize your knowledge. And here are 19 stories of different pharmacist entrepreneurs who have done that. And so, us pharmacists, we need like proof. Here's 19 different stories that show you this is possible. And I also have part in the book, in the beginning of the book, that I showed you 5 steps to sustainably scaling a profitable business. And that's really the purpose of this show, is to empower you to know that you have gifts within you to monetize, to share, to create a domino effect of healing in the world. And that's why it's called a movement, because it's not just me, it's all of us together. And so whether you're a healer in healthcare or not, a lot of people that are attracted to me and people who are in this group, you have a deep desire to make an impact on humanity. You have a big heart, you are empathetic, you have so many gifts to share. And so what my goal is to help unlock those gifts, to monetize your knowledge so that you can help more people. And that is really what this show is all about. So I am so excited that you're here. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you're hitting that subscribe button. Give us a like here before we even get started. I am actually starting, I wanted to share this with you. It's called Wealth Wednesdays. This is one of the announcements. So I actually started this. Again, all of my ideas, I don't come up with this myself. I get channeled, all of this information. And this was one that came through recently, was about Wealth Wednesday. So each Wednesday at noon, I'm going to be releasing a brand new training to help you rise into more worthiness and wealth. And tomorrow's episode is the number one way to tap into infinite abundance. So I'm super excited for that. So Priscilla's going to be dropping the link for my YouTube channel. So if you're watching, or if you're watching on YouTube, just click that subscribe button. The other thing that I wanted to share with you before we bring on Melissa is that I also have this Making the Leap from Retail workshop replay. Say that 5 times fast. So yes, perfect. I see Priscilla dropping the link here. So Priscilla's going to drop this link as well. I did this workshop back in January of this year, and it was a 2-hour deep dive workshop showing you how to monetize your knowledge to scale your profitable business. I taught you, whenever you purchase this, you'll get the workshop recording, you'll get a 30-page PDF where I'm walking you through step by step how to create passive income streams for your business, how to create a signature offer that you can sell immediately. So definitely take advantage of this. It's kind of like my Christmas in July offer from now until the 31st. So Priscilla will drop that link. Wanted to make sure that I shared all of that. And now we're going to bring on our guest, who I am so excited to introduce. All right, there we go. There she is. There's that beautiful soul. I am really excited for this Facebook Live because I have been connected with Melissa for a while now, and I really admire, I'm going to brag on her for a minute now before I introduce her and before she shares what she does. So I love when I see people of faith really using that in their business and leading with that, not using that, leading with their heart. And you can just tell, I can feel into people's energy. I can feel that Melissa just has such a servant heart to help people. And I think that that's really so special. And I see that in you, Melissa. I think that you have so many gifts to share with, all of the people that you reach through talks and all of these different things that you do. And so I want to just acknowledge you and say, I see you. And I just really appreciate you coming on to share your wisdom and your brilliance with us. So welcome.
Oh, thank you. You're gonna make me cry.
Oh, I mean it. I really mean it. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
So tell me all about you, your business. I want to hear. I have like a whole list of things here about like your black labs and like I want to hear their
Yeah.
names and all the fun things.
Well, I live in North Carolina, born and raised. I've been here all my life. I graduated from Campbell University in 2013, so I can't believe it's been 10 years since I got my pharmacy degree. And my goal was to work at an independent pharmacy. I had done that for about 2 years while I was in pharmacy school, loved it, thought it was the best thing. I was like, oh, this is easy. I can do this. This is no problem. But then graduation comes, and I'm like, oh, there's very few independent pharmacies around. And if they're not hiring, they're full. There was only one, but they could only offer part-time work. And I was like,
Yep.
no, I want to make that six-figure salary. And so I'm actually glad that didn't work out because they closed many, many years ago. So that's okay. So I began working with CVS and had no idea what I was getting into. No, I was not prepared, did
Yeah.
not get enough training. So if you've ever worked retail, still working retail, I'm sorry, it's rough. Um, and I was there for almost 8 years. Left a little
Wow.
over 2 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
right in the middle of all the COVID pandemic stuff, and it was time to go. And then started my own business. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. You lasted 8 years. I lasted 8 months at
yeah,
Rite Aid, and I was like, I'm gonna kill myself. I can't. Like I just
yeah.
couldn't. So
I,
wow.
I don't I don't know how I made it, and but I learned a lot, and it made me who I am. But I
Yeah.
maybe not would rather have that experience again.
Oh my goodness. Well, and so tell us about Tar Heel Consulting. That started in 2021. Tell me how that started.
Yeah. So I mentioned, working at CVS was a struggle. And after years of just trying, and I would go in early, I would stay late. And I know I didn't have to do that, but that was just part of my personality. Just, I want to get us ahead, get us out of the red. Like, let's start great. But I did that as at a detriment to my physical and mental and spiritual health. And so
Yeah.
I got to the point where I didn't want to go to work anymore. I didn't want to be a pharmacist anymore. I was like, why did I do this? Now I spent all this money on school. And if I'm not a pharmacist, what in the world am I going to do?
Yep.
And am I going to go back to school? What am I going to do? A nurse? Like, I don't know. And so I was just really struggling and had some things happen in my personal life that affected me as well. And it was a hard time. And so one night I'd been on LinkedIn looking for jobs, but they were all what I was already doing, Rite Aid, Walmart, Walgreens. I was like, no, I need something different. And I was scrolling one night and I saw a post that another pharmacist had done. She did a podcast about pharmacist burnout, and I was like, what's that? And so I listened to it, and I'm just laying in bed crying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is
That's
me.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
at that moment I was like, oh, it's not just me. There are other pharmacists who feel this way. Oh, I'm not a bad person or a bad pharmacist. It's the system that I'm in. I mean,
Right.
I'm never going to be successful here. It's not going to get better. I have to do something. I have to be the one that makes that
Mm,
change. No one else can do that for me. And so I reached out to her and I was like, what is this? Because she was working with a pharmacist coaching program called the Happy Pharm D. I signed up for that. And then I worked with a coach. And then she introduced me to another pharmacist named Jamie Wilkie. And Jamie was starting a new program to teach pharmacists how to do what she was doing in the area of pharmacogenomics, which was a new subject. I was like, what? I didn't have that in school.
yeah.
So she created this program. It's still going today, and we're teaching pharmacists how to create their own business and how to work with providers, how to work with labs. And so I left CVS in May of 21, took a leave of absence, but never went back, and then officially launched in September of 21. So almost 2 years ago.
Oh, I want to just dial back for a second and acknowledge this because I think that this is a pivotal point that a lot of people miss. You said before, you were saying that you were in this place of like complete, burnout, shut down,
Mm-hmm.
and you made the decision to take action to do something different. Where I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are like, I'm stuck. I'm just stuck here. And they
Yeah.
can't get that energy to actually move and do something. So I wanted to highlight that part of the story
Mm-hmm.
because it's showing a level of empowerment that you were like, no, I'm ready to do something different.
Yeah.
And that to me is a sign of a leader that you're
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not just going to tolerate this,
Yeah.
whatever, like, bad relationship, toxic environment, whatever it is. And I think so many
Yeah.
of us, I was actually just thinking about this yesterday, like how many people stay in bad situations because it's safe or comfortable, or
Right.
maybe not comfortable, but like familiar. And so it
Yeah.
takes a tremendous amount of courage to do something like that.
Yeah. It was not easy, and I felt that way for years. So it wasn't just a couple of things like, oh, okay, I'll change now.
Right.
It took a while, and it took hitting the bottom, it felt like,
Hmm.
to finally realize, things aren't going to get better.
Hmm.
CVS is not going to change their ways. Uh, mean customers, mean doctors. I'm like, I can't do this. I didn't feel supported. Um, so
Oh,
I knew I had
absolutely.
to change. Yeah.
So tell me, actually, I forgot to even do this in the beginning. You forgot to remind me about the fun
Oh
fact
no.
because I do want to come back to
Oh.
I want to like talk about your business, but I also want to infuse in like what is a fun fact about you that no one
Uh-huh.
knows. So tell me, you could tell me a couple.
Okay. Well, one is, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but I have this ability to find mistakes. Like when I'm reading books, especially, and I notice errors like grammar or spelling errors, I'm drawn to them. I see them, and I wish sometimes I didn't see them. But, anyways, there was,
You
and
should
I
be
guess
my
another.
proofreader.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, please let me read this before you send it out. My husband, he sometimes gets me to look at stuff, and I'll find a few things. But there was a book. I guess I won't say her name, but she's a New York Times bestselling author, and there were several mistakes in her book, and I may or may not have sent her a message on Instagram telling her
Uh-oh.
like, you're everybody knows you, and how did this get missed? And then
Hashtag
of course,
pharmacist traits.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's what we're trained to do, is to find the mistakes and find the errors. So I guess it hasn't gone away, even though I've not been in the dispensing role, and so
Hi,
yeah.
Melissa Turner. It's always so great to see you. I don't know who that is, but we will find out when I get off the broadcast here. It might be Victoria. I'm not sure because it won't. They don't show the name, but yeah, whoever
Okay.
you are, identify yourself. Okay. Was there another one? Was there another fun fact?
Um, I do have a scar right here by my eye, and I got that from not listening to my mom when I
Uh
was
oh.
little. I was in daycare, and I was running around, and I only had socks on, and she told me not to do that, and I slipped and fell and hit the corner of a table. So that
Oh.
protected me, and I didn't get my eye, but I do have a little scar there. So
Oh, geez. My brother hit oh no, wait. My brother hit my sister or vice versa in the head with like a toy shovel, and one of them has something
oh
there too. So when you started telling me, I'm like, oh my God, it must be
yeah,
that side of the face that I guess
yeah,
people get hit. But
yeah.
um yeah, I think it's fun to talk about like just some fun facts about you. I mean, I want to kind of transition into also I love, like I said in the beginning, how your faith is really the center of your business. And I want to hear more about that. I know your husband's a pastor, which people
Hmm.
may or may not know about you. I think you've posted about that several times, but
Uh-huh.
share, I guess, like a little bit about how that faith walk impacts your business.
Yeah. So when I worked at CVS, I worked every other weekend, every other holiday, and so I missed a lot of church events, homecoming, Christmas, whatever events. But I also missed actually going to church, being able to go to Sunday school, go to Bible study on Wednesday night, have that worship experience. And so my relationship with God was very distant during that time. And so that was one of the benefits of walking away. And I now can go to church every Sunday. I co-lead a women's Bible study on Wednesday night
Oh,
with another friend. That has been a great blessing, not only to us as the leaders, but to the women. They're constantly telling us, I really needed this and I look forward to this. And we do take a break from our Wednesday night activities during the summer. And so when you see them on Sunday morning, they're like, when are we starting back? I miss this so much. I need my ladies' time. And so just being able to have time in the morning to sit down, I try to write my prayer journal every day, and I do some sort of devotion, or I may then prepare that lesson for Wednesday night. I also teach Sunday school. And so
wow.
really digging into God's word and seeing what he has to say. Like, I've heard the Bible stories, but really digging in deep to understand what God's purpose is for my life. And
Mm,
um, I don't know if I've quite figured that out yet, and so that's okay. It's not just one thing for the rest of your life. And so I felt for a while that I needed to bring my faith into my business, but I resisted, and that was the enemy saying, "No, like you need to keep those separate, and
right.
nobody wants to hear about that."
Oh, I
And I
do.
was
I
I
sure as
was
hell do.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it, and people are either going to need it and use it and want it, or they're not. And so I can't hide who I am and what God has done for me. And
Yeah.
so that intimate time with Him, that prayer and listening and discerning His will, that's how I've gotten through the things that have happened in my life. And so I want to share that with others.
Oh, absolutely. I always say God is my CEO because especially in entrepreneurship, it's such a faith walk, especially when you're walking out and you're going into the unknown. It's
Mhm.
absolutely, I rely on God every day. I'm like, hey, what should I do in this situation? Something came
Mhm.
up today that I was like, I need to just surrender this and I don't know what's going
Yeah.
to happen. And um,
Yeah.
one of the other things I wanted to read actually, as you were talking, I recently posted about this, but I think a lot of people always say that, like, we can find all the answers that we need in the Bible, and I completely agree with that. And one of the things now that we're speaking about gifts that I wanted to share, I posted on my Instagram. It was from First Corinthians. So God's various gifts are handed out everywhere, but they all originate in God's Spirit. God's
Mhm.
various ministries are carried out everywhere, but they all originate in God's Spirit. God's various expressions of power are in action everywhere, but God Himself is behind it all. Each person is given something to do that shows who God is. Everyone
Mhm.
gets in on it, everyone benefits. And I was like, oh my God, that just, I read the part about like each person's given something to do to show a reflection of God, I was like, wow, that
Mhm.
is just so powerful. And I think it's who we're being. It's not
Yeah.
even necessarily what we're doing, it's who we're being, and taking that high road, even though certain things might happen and we want to react. And,
Yeah.
it's feeling the feeling of it, but also like remembering I'm a child of God. Like, this is how I want to conduct myself. This is how I want to
Yeah.
run my business. And I think when you come from that place, you're going to have a high frequency business that really serves other people. So
Yeah.
I just really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
So, so yeah, I think that's such an important part of, like integrating our faith with our business to really be of service, which it sounds like you're definitely doing.
Mhm.
So tell me, what is the most exciting part of your week? Like, what is it that you're just so passionate about that you love doing?
Well, I just love helping to give people the the answers that we're looking for we don't always get that, and that's a struggle sometimes. But when we do get those answers, when someone tells me, now I have peace of mind about my medications, I know I'm on the right medication, I know I'm on the right dose, or we learned something about their genetics that if they were to take this medication, it could be life threatening for them, but they never would have known had they not had this testing done. And so that's what keeps me going, is knowing that we have this information out there. We just need to get it into the hands of the people that need it. And so that's what I'm here to do. I want everybody to get tested.
Yeah. So tell me about your different services, because I know you have the pharmacogenomics, nutrigenomics. Do you do any, like, I'm just curious, like MTM or any of just like separate standoff? Like if someone came up to you at church and said, "Hey, can you look at my medications or something?"
Yeah, so I definitely have the PGX, so looking at your genetics and seeing how it affects the medications you may be taking now or might need in the future. And then for the nutrigenomics, that's looking at your genetics and how that affects different areas of your physical health. So, how do you absorb, transport, utilize vitamins and nutrients? Because if you have certain vitamin deficiencies, that can mimic the symptoms of depression, affect your mental health. So we want to make sure if you need medications and you want to take medications, that you're taking the right ones. But if you don't want to take medications, that's okay. Let's make sure you're on the right foods, your physical health is optimized, you're getting the sleep that you need, all of that, and then the spiritual sessions. And so I have a couple different focuses, you could say. One is on anxiety, one is on depression. And so we go through the Bible and we look at different passages or scriptures or stories,
Wow.
and we
Yeah.
say, here's what happened, and I give you some questions to answer, and then I give you a prayer that I have developed for all of those lessons. So you can pray your own prayer, or you can use mine, doesn't matter. I know sometimes if we're anxious, if we are sad, if we are depressed, we may not be able to find the words to pray. So got that there for you. And then I also have a daily challenge. And so it's great to read God's word and understand it, but now you need to put it into practice. So here's like one thing I want you to do or think about before you do your next session. How do you put what you learned into practice? And ideally we look at all of those pieces for you,
Right.
the medications, the nutrition, and the spiritual sessions. But I have had people come up to me and ask me questions, and can you look at my medication? So that's definitely something that we can do if that's what you need. And any of those packages or sessions can be tailored to fit what your needs are. And so that's what I try to accomplish during our initial consultation call, that about 30 minutes to understand your needs. How can I help you? Am I the right fit for you? If you're not, I'll find someone who is, but what is it that you need and how can I help you in the best way?
Wow. I love the spiritual sessions. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I think that's such a key component that's missed in traditional healthcare.
Yeah.
So I love that. What was I going to ask you? Um, oh, I lost it. My pregnancy brain is like, I lost it. But I was just like so excited to just hear about all the different services that you have and just what a wealth of knowledge I'm sure you have in, being a PGX pharmacist and all the different courses that you've taken and the Happy PharmD and all of the ways that you've invested in yourself. So, like, wow, I'm just really celebrating you. Oh, that was the question. Okay, it came back. How does somebody know if they need PGX testing? Because I don't even know this answer.
Yeah. So really anyone that wants a PGX test can get one, because even if you're not on medications now, you don't know what you may be diagnosed with in the future. And I'd rather us go ahead and have the information ahead of time rather than wait and then do the testing and wait for the results and potentially delay or potentially give you the wrong medicine or the wrong dose, and it causes adverse effects. But there's three groups that I like to say, like, if you see them, if you fall into one of these red flag PGX, let's think about it. So people who are on multiple medications, because the more medications you take, the more likely you are to have drug interactions and adverse effects. So we want to make
Hmm.
sure that's optimized. Um, someone who has unexplained sensitivities or toxicities to medications. We can't figure out what's going on. It's not a drug interaction. Why is this happening? And then also people who are non-compliant with their medications. They stop taking it because they don't like the way it makes them feel, or they don't think it's working for them, or it's caused some sort of side effect. And I saw that a lot at CVS, where people would just stop taking their medications altogether. And they're like, well,
Yeah.
this doesn't work. Nothing's ever going to work. So I'm just not going to take anything. And I'm like, no, that's not good either. So there could be a genetic underlying cause as to why the medication is behaving, so to speak, the way it is. So let's get a
Mm.
test and see if that's it. And if it's not, then that means it must be something else. So we just keep eliminating and try to figure out what's going on.
Wow. So it's almost like you're like the investigator. You're like, let's go in there and see what's happening here. But no, thank you for explaining that, because I no really know nothing about pharmacogenomics at all. So I probably should know like the basics. So at least now I know if I come across
Yeah,
somebody, I can say, go to Melissa Turner.
yeah,
That's awesome. So, anything else that you want to share about your business, about your life, anything that you really want people to know about entrepreneurship or pharmacogenomics, just
yeah.
whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, so one of the things I love about PGX is that it's always growing. And so, since your DNA is probably not going to change, you only need to have this test done once. And so, you have that for the rest of your life to use. But at least the labs that I work with, as new guidelines, new evidence comes out, those reports can be updated so that you always have the most up to date information. So it's not like, okay, here's your report. Bye. We'll see you later. No, we want to continue that relationship so that we make sure you're always healthy and well. So PJAX is not, okay, this is all we got, but we're constantly doing research and learning as much as we can to provide that personalized medicine. So you don't have to waste your time and money taking a medicine or going to the doctor and to the pharmacy, and it saves you time and money in the end. Hospital
Mm,
visit, all of that. Yep.
that would be a great graphic to be like, you can choose this, or you can
Yeah.
choose this, and like put all the money that it would cost with like hospital bills and all that. That's how my mind thinks. I'm like, oh, we could do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So, did you have something that you wanted to share with our audience about an offer? Something that you wanted to share?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're going to share a link so that you can book that initial consultation call that I mentioned. And so it's a phone call, takes about 30 minutes. I'll ask you a bunch of questions, and then I'll share the different ways that I can help you. And then if it's a good fit for both of us, then we can continue to move forward, and we'll help you with getting the process rolling.
I'm gonna save this link myself as well. I love
Okay.
how I want to just I I always take a moment to like just acknowledge the things that I really love when I hear people saying things. I love how it's a 30-minute session, because I feel like I
Mhm.
had someone else who wanted me to try like one of her. She's like, "Oh, let's take this assessment," and it's a 90-minute session.
Whoa, that's a lot of
I'm
time.
like, that's a long ass time for me to like, I'm pregnant. I have a lot of things going on. I'm like, I think 30 minutes is like great. I just
Yeah.
think that's awesome. So
Yeah.
great job on picking that time frame. People
Yeah,
are,
that's usually what it takes, about 20 to 30 minutes. So,
yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So what is next for you? Last question.
ooh, well, I'm currently working with a pharmacy school here in North Carolina to create a PGX elective for them, because
Wow.
that was something that I saw was missing. And so I've talked to a lot of pharmacists over the last 2+ years of being in this area, the PGX, and even pharmacists who have just graduated or even in the last few years, they have they excuse me, they might have PGX in their curriculum, but what they get from school to school is very different.
Hmm.
And so some may just have like one class, or some people might have a whole semester of it. So even the pharmacists that are graduating now, the knowledge is very different. And so I want to bring my story and my experience and share that with the next generation of
Oh
pharmacists
my
because
God. Yeah.
I've also seen, especially on LinkedIn, which I've been off of for several months, but there for a while, there was a lot of negativity about pharmacy. Pharmacy is dying, it's a dying profession, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I used to think that way, but I'm like, it doesn't have to be. You know, you can stay and be negative or you can do something about it. Like,
Right.
let's
Right.
try to make this better. And so I want to impact the next generation and show them that it is possible. It's not easy. Please don't get that impression that this is easy. It's a lot of hard work, but it can be worth it, and it's a great way to use the knowledge that you have. And if you want to work in retail, go be the best retail pharmacist you can be. Your patients need you, but if you don't want to do that, there are other options. And
Yeah.
then also being a preceptor for students and having them with me 1 month at a time. So
Oh, that's awesome. How many do you get at a time?
so we can really choose how many we get in the year. So right now I just have one per month. Hopefully
Oh,
starting in January. So like January, February, March is what I have for right now. So figuring out
wow.
what that looks like for them. Yeah.
You're a
That'd be
force to be reckoned with. Look at all the impact that you're having on, I mean, at the church. Like let me brag on you again at the church with students. You're spreading your light, your brilliance to so many different avenues. And I can hear, like I said again, you kind of have the same attitude as me. It's like you can sit here and complain, or you can do something and be proactive and go,
yeah.
do something to
Yeah.
see the different options that are out there. And maybe for, even in this book, we talk about I mean, Anne is a financial coach. I mean, there's so much that you can do with your pharmacy
Mhm.
degree or whatever degree you have. Because I know we have a lot of different people in this group, but realize that you don't have to stay stuck, that you have options. It's
Mhm.
your participation that you have to be the one that says, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm ready to move on, to invest in myself, to learn something, to, whatever that might be. And so I think that's the biggest takeaway from this is like, you don't have to stay stuck. You have options, and
Yeah.
look at, like, you're living proof of that. So again, just
Yes.
really acknowledging you on all of the things that you've done and will
Thank you.
continue to do.
Yes. Thank you.
So awesome. So where can people find you? Where I know, obviously Facebook.
Yes. Yep. So I do have a Facebook and an Instagram page for my business. I also have a YouTube channel where you can watch
Oh,
videos
okay.
where I've interviewed patients that I've worked with in the past. I have a couple of videos where I got my own test when I got first started, and I talk about some of the results. I just uploaded a bunch of more videos yesterday, talking about PGX and NGX and mental health and the Bible. So all of those are on there as well. And then, of course, my website, tarhillpgxconsulting.com.
Awesome. I love it. I need to go subscribe to the YouTube channel and find you. I don't know
Yes.
if I'm following you already on Instagram, but thank
Okay.
you so much for sharing
Thank
your
you.
gifts, your brilliance, and you have been an excellent guest. And make sure
Oh,
everybody that you connect with Melissa, and I will see you on next month, which I think I'm interviewing Tim Ulbrich. So that's who we have up
oh,
next month.
okay.
So
That'll be a good one.
awesome. All right, everybody. Melissa, you'll stay on with me, but we'll say goodbye to everybody for now. Have a great
Bye.
day.